One area I'd like to just discuss briefly, specifically for my friends that are VARs, vendors, integrators, consultants, etc. You're really on the front lines designing, architecting solutions for your customer base. Or perhaps you're proposing solutions for your own enterprise, whatever that situation is. But one of the things I just want to clarify is the blockchain isn't all or nothing. It could be, 90% legacy apps, and you could have 10% of your applications per se going to a side chain, for example. This is a very common solution. For example, it's very common to see side chains on the Ethereum network. You could also use another protocols such as Blockstream to also enable that as well. Now, what about if you're on the front line performing a sales engineer role, for example? Do you really want to talk about the blockchain? Well, that's a really good question. And here's sort of my opinion from what I have seen already in discussions with folks, online and at events, for example, is this. The blockchain is becoming part of the enterprise. Some facets of the industry are adopting it quicker than others. And it really just comes down to the fact that you're going to have discussions on it, whether it's something you plan or not. It may be 2 or 3 years down the road for your specific customer base. I don't know. But knowing what the blockchain can do and how it can be implemented is really critical for you to typically be able to maintain the respect of your customer base. Because the reality is that a lot of customers still are going to be on their legacy apps or legacy production systems. But the challenge really comes in is maybe that customer doesn't need to go 100%. Maybe they just want to talk about doing some kind of a side approach to a blockchain. Like I had mentioned, Blockstream is a very common one that I see a lot in the financial industry. That's something that could certainly be used. Ethereum, a lot of knowledge out there on Ethereum, and it really makes for a good sidechain approach because of the fact that it's not really overhead typically for the organization itself. If we're talking a private blockchain, then typically what happens is that that organization either has to go out and get a blockchain as a service, which is, to be honest, insidiously expensive, or they have to go out and get their own on-site approach to a blockchain. And of course, that sort of rules out some of the benefits of a blockchain. Now, if you're using Ethereum, for example, that's a great way to implement a sidechain because you have, literally, 16,000 plus nodes that are distributed all over the world. And as long as your organization, your customer, I should say, doesn't have compliance requirements per se that can't be mitigated, without having to go to like a private blockchain, then perhaps that could work. And some examples of applications that could use a sidechain that I'm seeing quite a bit of is going to be Internet of Things applications. For example, perhaps it's sensor information, perhaps it's website visits, perhaps it's uploading perhaps information such as short line contracts. And a short line contract is basically, for example, if you ever receive like the Adobe PDFs in the email, you sign your contracts that way. Well, that's something that can be implemented on the blockchain fairly simplistically as well. Now, smart contracts are out there, and I have plenty of discussions on smart contracts coming up at the middle and the end of the course. So I just wanted to really just point out that the blockchain is not all or nothing. And as an integrator, solutions provider, systems engineer, you just want to be aware that you don't have to go in and just rip out that legacy app. It could be just tying in a solution that's running an Ethereum protocol to the Ethereum blockchain and create a sidechain. Again, these are viable solutions, and you can make money doing that from a professional services standpoint. If you have questions on that, on how that can be enabled, certainly let me know. I could add it to the course if that's of interest as well. So let's go ahead and go to the next module.